Hi there everyone, your Pyral here with another vlog. So it's been about an hour since I came home from volleyball. Ton of fun. And actually, in one of the sets that I was playing, I actually scored the game point, which was really exciting for me because I've never done that before. But yeah, I don't know, it's just been a ton of fun playing volleyball, and there's a lot of aspects I still need to improve on and whatnot, but it was nice to at least get a game point, which was nice. And I was an outside hitter when I hit it too, so yeah. But that's not really what I want to talk about. I just wanted to briefly talk about that. But the subject of this vlog is I have another Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile I want to do, because this deck, for the longest time, was missing like a few cards, and then the last stretch of it I was only missing one card. And I think actually, when I ordered it, I think it got lost in the mail, so I had to order it again. But the deck is now done, and in the meantime, I've actually made another deck and actually updated another one of my other decks. So there's going to be a couple of deck profiles coming up in the near future of those. But for now, this is a deck that I've tested out a little bit on like Dueling Book and whatnot with like Jamie and Matt, but it's nice to have a physical copy of it because that's, I don't know, it's fun playing with the physical cards. And this is a deck I've wanted to try for a while. But yeah, let's just get on with it. So this deck profile is going to be on my Predaplant deck. This is a deck that I've had an interest in building for a little bit. Out of all the characters in Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, Yuri, who is the one that uses the Predaplant monsters, has been one of my favorite characters in that particular series. Not like one of my favorite characters in the entire franchise, but in that series particularly. Just because it was always entertaining to watch him, and his personality is very much unhinged. Plus, I like the idea of his monsters being these evil plant reptile things. But yeah, so let me just get a start here. I have one copy. These names are also just really difficult to pronounce, but Predaplant Heliamphornynchus. So the concept of this deck revolves around fusion summons and predator counters. In this one, if there's a monster that the opponent controls with a predator counter, I can special summon this card from the hand. And if this card in the owner's possession is destroyed by the opponent's card, I can target a dark dragon or dark plant monster in my graveyard, except this monster, and special summon it. So there's pretty much all of the monsters here are dark except for like one, and they're either plants or dragons. So this just works really well with the deck, and if I can manage to get predator counters on the opponent, it just makes it easier to summon. Next up, I'm running one Banksiogre. I can special summon this card from the hand by attributing a monster with a predator counter, which is nice to just get rid of some of the opponent's resources. And if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, I can place another predator counter on each face-up monster that the opponent controls. And if I do, those monsters that are level 2 or higher become level 1. So that can also disrupt opponents like from doing certain Xyz or synchro plays, which is interesting. Next, I have Drosophyllum Hydra. I think that's how you pronounce that. But I can special summon this card from my hand or a graveyard by attributing a monster on either player's field with a predator counter. Because there are some instances where a monster on my side of the field will get predator counters, which is whatever. And I can special summon only one of these per turn this way. During either player's turn, if this card is on the field or in the graveyard, I can banish another predator or Predaplant monster from the graveyard, then target a face-up monster on the field that loses 500 attack. So that can come in handy in some instances. I am running two Spinodionaea. If this card is normal summon or special summon, I can target a face-up monster the opponent controls and place a predator counter on it, and if it's level 2 or higher, it becomes level 1 as long as it has a predator counter. And then after damage calculation, if this card battles a monster with an attacker or with an equal or lower level, I can special summon a Predaplant monster from the deck, except Spinodionaea. So, yep, I am running 3 Ophrys Scorpio. So if this card is normal summon or special summon, I can send a monster from hand to the graveyard to special summon a Predaplant monster from the deck. And I can only use that effect once per turn, so I could use that actually like in tandem with another monster, and then just bring out this guy, Darlingtonia Cobra. If it's special summoned by the effect of a Predaplant monster, I can add Polymerization spell card or Fusion spell card from the deck to the hand. So regular Polymerization, Super Poly, Ultra Poly, Predaprime Fusion, so all of those. And I can only use that effect once per duel, but use this thing's effect to bring this out, get myself a pretty easy to do fusion summon, which is nice. Then this here is Predaplant Chlamydosundew, I think. If a monster with a predator counter, or monsters with a predator counter that I use as fusion materials are treated as dark, which can meet the requirements of some of the fusion monsters that I run, and that's just neat. During the main phase, I can fusion summon a dark fusion monster from my extra deck using this card in the field, and monsters from the hand, field, and or monsters with a predator counter that the opponent controls. So if I am ever needing a dark monster, I could use the opponent's monsters as resources, which is just really nice. And I could just summon a fusion monster without polymerization thanks to discard, so that's neat. Let's see, if the opponent declares a direct attack, I can special summon Sarraceniant. I think that's how you pronounce its name. And then, after damage calculation, if this card battled an opponent's monster, I can destroy that monster. If this card is destroyed by battle, or if this card in the field is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, I can add a Predap card from the deck to the hand. So, really nice to be able to add something, and being able to special summon it, like as a last-ditch effort, could come in handy. Byblisp here is really interesting. If this card is sent to the graveyard, which I can use in tandem with Ophrys Scorpio's effect, if this card is sent to the graveyard, I can add a Predaplant monster from the deck to the hand, except Byblisp. And if there's a monster with a predator counter on the field, I can special summon this card from the graveyard, but it gets banished if it's special summoned that way. And I can only use that effect once per turn. Or each of those effects once per turn. And then, I'm actually running some Pendulum monsters, this is the first deck of mine to do so, not counting the update I made to one of my other decks. But, this is Predaplant Triantis. Its Pendulum effect is, if this card is in the Pendulum Zone, I can fusion summon dark fusion monsters using cards in my Pendulum Zones as materials, which is interesting. And if this card is sent to the graveyard or added to the extra deck face up because it was used as fusion material, I can... That's a pendulum mechanic. If they're in the pendulum zone and sent to the graveyard, I think they can go to the extra deck. I think that's how it goes. Face up. But it's also neat having pendulum monsters because it forced me to learn the mechanic. But if it's sent to the graveyard or added to the extra deck face up because it was used as future material, I can choose monsters on the field up to the number of monsters I currently control, and then place a predator counter on each of them, and then the levels become 1, so more predator counter action. Predaplant Bufolicula, I think that's how you say that. I'm gonna say that for pretty much all of these monsters, but its pendulum effect is, if it's in the pendulum zone, I can just perform a fusion summon without polymerization, which is nice, and I can use that in tandem with Triantis. Just use both of these as like fusion materials if I really need to when they're in the pendulum zone, and then just get out a quick and easy fusion summon. And if this card is sent to the graveyard or added to the extra deck face up because it was used as a fusion material, I can add a dark pendulum monster from the extra deck to the hand. So, except Bufolicula, so I can recycle Triantis if I really want to. Lonefire Blossom is here just because it could come in handy. Once per turn, I contribute a face of plant monster and special summon a plant monster from the deck. So I could get any of these out if I really need them. So it's there for added support. That's it for the monsters. Onwards to the spells. Called by the Grave is just really useful for screwing over the opponent. This here is Greater Polymerization. So what this does is, if I fusion summon a monster from the extra deck using 3 or more monsters from the hand or field as fusion materials, it can gain either immunity from being destroyed by card effects or piercing damage. So that's cool. Instant fusion. I have a couple of monsters that I could summon with this, so that's always there for being in handy. This is the card that got lost in the mail and I had to order a different copy, but Lair of Darkness. This turns all monsters on the field into dark monsters, so that could be useful for screwing over my opponents, because then they'll have dark monsters that I can use this thing's effect with, or Super Polymerization, because I do run that. But yeah, monsters become dark, and once per turn, if I would tribute a monster I control to activate a card effect, I can tribute a dark monster that the opponent controls instead, even if I do not control it. And then once per turn during the end phase, special summon as many Torment tokens as possible to the turn player's field and defense position up to the number of monsters tributed that turn. So that could come in handy as well, but the fact that I can turn the opponent's monsters into dark monsters, that's really the main reason why I run Lair of Darkness, because that can come in so much use. 2 polymerizations, 2 Predaplasts here, because with this I can reveal any number of Predap cards, which also include Predaplant monsters, then target monsters that the opponent controls and place Predator counters on those ones that I choose. And then they become level 1. And if my Predaplant monster would be destroyed battle, I can banish this card from the graveyard instead. So, gives me that extra layer of protection as well. Predaponics here. During the main phase, I can special summon a level 4 or lower Predaplant monster from my hand or graveyard, but its effects are negated. And during my standby phase, I pay 800 or destroy the card. So, free special summon, which is nice. I run 3 Predapractice. This is a really, really nice card because I can special summon any Predaplant monster from my hand, then add a Predap card from the deck, except Predapractice. And also for the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, I cannot special summon monsters except for fusion monsters, which doesn't matter because it's all I run in the extra deck. But being able to special summon and then search a Predap card, which again includes Predaplants, really, really handy. Predaprime Fusion. If a Predaplant monster is on the field, special summon a dark fusion monster from the extra deck using monsters from either field as material, including more dark monsters I control. So that could, again, be useful for screwing over the opponent because I can just take their monsters, combine that with Lair of Darkness, and then boom. Predapruning, I can just target a Predaplant monster in the graveyard, special summon it, and it gets equipped with this card. And then when this card leaves the field, that monster gets destroyed. 2 Super Polymerizations because it's just a really, really good card. I can use materials from either side of the field, and this card's effect and activation cannot be negated. Just really, really good. I run 1 Ultra Polymerization. This is a really interesting card. I pay 2,000 life points. I special summon a fusion monster from the deck using 2 monsters I control as material. It has to be 2. And neither players can activate cards or effects in response to that. Then I can banish this card from the graveyard, then target 1 fusion monster that was fusion summoned, and then summon its materials, but their effects are negated and their attack and defense is 0. But being able to recycle those materials could come in a lot of... It's just a really versatile card with that because it gives me more materials to work with. Just really, really good. Onwards to traps. I have 1 copy of Infinite Impermanence, because this card drastically went down in price. Being able to just negate an opponent's monster's effect and being able to activate this from the hand in the opponent's turn, really, really nice. I have 1 copy of Metaverse, just to quickly bring out Lair of Darkness, should I need it. And if I already have Lair of Darkness out, it just becomes discard fodder for, like, Super Polymerization, I guess. I have 1 Predaplanet here. If a monster with a Predator counter leaves the field while this card is facing on the field, I can add a Predap card from the deck to the hand. I can only use that effect once per turn, and then I can banish this card from the graveyard. Fusion summon a fusion monster from the extra deck using monsters from the hand or field as fusion materials, and I can only Predaplant monsters can be summoned that way. So yeah, also it's raining. I don't know if you can hear that. Yep. I run 1 copy of Predaplanning. I send a Predaplant monster from the deck to the graveyard, place Predator counters on each face-up monster on the field, which is just really, really nice to be able to do that. And also puts them on monsters on my side of the field as well. And if you do any of those monsters at level 2 or higher, are level 1, as long as they have a Predator counter. And if I fusion summon a dark monster while this card is in the graveyard, except during the damage step, I can banish this card from the graveyard, then target a card in the field and destroy it. So I get to pop a card on the opponent's field, basically. And of course, 1 copy of Storming Mirror Fortress, because that could be useful for disrupting opponents sometimes. Anyways, that's it for the main deck. I believe that's 45 cards. Let's move onwards to the extra deck. Here is the extra deck. It doesn't look like much when it's laid out like this, but that's because I do have some 2-ofs. First off, here we have Starving Venom Predapower Fusion Dragon. What a name. The requirements for this are a Dark Fusion monster plus a Fusion monster. So, a little bit steep, but I can get this out decently well. But it's always treated as a Predaplant card, and once per turn when a card or effect is activated, I can tribute a monster on either field with a Predator counter and negate the activation, which is nice because I can also get rid of an opponent's card. And then if this Fusion Summon card I control is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, I can target a dark monster in my graveyard, special summon it. I can only use that effect once per turn. Then I have Greedy Venom Fusion Dragon, which requires a Predaplant monster and then a dark monster whose original level is 8 or higher. So even if I have a monster with a Predator counter that gets its level lowered, that might not even matter because it says original level. But it must be Fusion Summoned. Once per turn, I can target a face-up monster on the field. Until the end of this turn, change that target's attack to 0. Also, the target has its effects negated, which is pretty neat. Just because negating an effect and then just making their attack 0 makes it easy for me to get rid of. And then if this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, destroy as many monsters on the field as possible, then I can banish a level 8 or higher dark monster from the graveyard and special summon this card from the graveyard. So that's neat. Also, I meant to say it must first be Fusion Summoned. It cannot just be restricted to Fusion Summoning because then that last effect wouldn't make any sense. Then I run 2 copies of Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. If this card is Fusion Summoned, I can make this card gain attack equal to 1 opponent's special summon monster until the end of the turn. Once per turn, I can target a level 5 or higher monster the opponent controls until the end phase. This card's name becomes that monster's name and replaces this effect with that monster's original effects. If this Fusion Summon card is destroyed, I can destroy all of the opponent's special summon monsters. So it's pretty interesting that I'm able to copy effects and potentially board wiping the opponent. So yeah. Here is Starving Venemy Fusion Dragon. Its Pendulum effect. Each time a card is sent from the field to the graveyard, place 1 Venemy counter on this card for each card that's sent. All monsters on the field except Dark Dragon monsters lose 200 attack for each Venemy counter on the field. Once per turn, I can reduce the battle damage I take to 0, so being able to slowly chip away at an opponent's monster's attack could come in handy, I guess. Fusion requirements for this is a Dark monster and then a Pendulum monster, so I can get this out easily. I can target a face-up monster the opponent controls until the end phase. This card's name becomes that monster's original name, and it gets that effect as well. Then the target monster loses 500 attack and defense. Its effects are also negated, and then I inflict 500 damage to the opponent. Let's see, I can only use the effect once per turn. If this card in the monster zone is destroyed, it can go in the Pendulum zone. So, interesting. I haven't really had a need to summon this compared to some of the other stuff, but it's there if I need it. I believe this is the manga counterpart to Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. I might be wrong on that. Anyways, here are some of the Predaplant Fusion monsters. This one is a fun one. Predaplant Tryphyoverutum. Requires 3 dark monsters on the field. Gains attack equal to the total original attack of all monsters on the field with Predator counters, which is really nice. This thing can potentially just get to really high attack points. And then I can use the bullet point effects once per turn. When the opponent special summons a monster from the extra deck while I control this card, I can negate that special summon and destroy that monster. And if the opponent controls a monster with a Predator counter, I can special summon this card from the graveyard, so it can come back and just wreck things. Gives me more opportunities to negate special summons. Just really, really cool. This here is Predaplant Drosophyllum. Requires a fusion monster plus a dark monster, so that's another easy one to get out. But once per turn, I can target a face-up monster the opponent controls and place a Predator counter on it, and then its level becomes 1 as long as it has a Predator counter. And then
Any monster that the opponent has that has a predator counter, those effects are just negated. So that's also really, really nice. I have Predaplant Chlamydosundew. How do you say that plant name? I don't know. Requires a Predaplant monster plus a dark monster, so very, very easy for me to get out. Once per turn, I can target a monster on the field with a level less than or equal to these cards, which is easy with predator counters being just placed out all over the place. But I can just banish that card. And then when an attack is declared involving this card and an opponent's face-up monster, I can activate this effect until the end of this turn. The opponent monster loses 1,000 attack, and if it does, this card gains 1,000 attack, so that could potentially be useful for getting over opponent's monsters. Now, once per turn during the standby phase, the next standby phase after this card was sent to the graveyard, I can add Polymerization spell card or a fusion spell card from my deck to the hand, which is neat. Then, this one is really, really useful. This is basically what Instant Fusion is for, if I have the need for it, but requires 2 Predaplant monsters. This is Ambulomelidice, I think. This card is Fusion Summon. I can add a Predaplant monster or Predap spell trap from my deck. From your deck, graveyard or face-up extra deck to the hand. Then I can target a monster the opponent controls with a Predator counter, or one monster I control, tribute it! So, useful for getting rid of the opponent's resources. And if I do, special summon a Predaplant monster from your deck. So that could come in handy, especially if I'm able to summon Darlington, the Cobra thing that lets me add Polymerization cards or fusion cards. So, yeah, just really, really nice and easy to get out with Instant Fusion. But also the requirements for this are just really, really easy. But yeah, that's it for the deck, and I guess now is the time where I do the test hands. So that'll be fun. Okay, let's get some test hands here. Whenever I do these, the setup is really weird because I have to get my tripod, which isn't really that tall. It's just like the Sony one that I can also, it has some buttons I can use to control the camera. So I have to like prep this up on a couple of boxes, and I have to be in a really uncomfortable position to record this. But yeah, just do a bit of shuffling, just because the deck was in order. I did some shuffling off screen as well, but there you go. There's more proof of shuffling to show I'm not like stacking the deck for these or whatever. But let's take a look here. Ophrys Scorpio. Infinite Impermance, Heliamphornynchus, Chlamydosundew. Again, these names sometimes. So right off the bat, let's see. I guess what I can do. First off, I guess I could set the Infinite Impermanence. This would be really handy if I was like going second, just because that like since I wouldn't be controlling any cards, I could just activate this straight from my hand. But set that just because that's still really nice. Let's see. I guess I'll just start off with Ophrys Scorpio's effect. So I can just normal summon this, and then when it's normal summon, I can just send a Predaplant monster from my hand to the graveyard and special summon a Predaplant monster from the deck. So, I guess you, and then special summon. Where are you? Where are you, Darlington Cobra? Darlingtonian Cobra? Darlingtonia Cobra. So with that, I can get, let's see, I can get Polymerization, Instant Fusion, could come in handy. Actually, yeah, let's try that. Let's try the Instant Fusion play. So do some more shuffling. Instant Fusion. So pay 1,000 life points to special summon Ambulamenada. Gosh, these names. Again, these names. So when this card is fusion summon, instant fusion is treated as a fusion summon. Can add a Predaplant monster or Predap card. So with this, I will then add Predapractice, wherever that is. So there we go, Predapractice. Then I can activate that. I will special summon Chlamydosundew. So that right there is a free fusion. So what's a spell or trap that I can add? I can add Predaplast because what's in my hand? It counts as that, so that's a predator counter right there. Ooh, there's a lot of options I can add with Predaplast. Maybe that? Would that? No. I could do also, Predaplanning. Because, ooh, yeah, actually, yeah. Let's do that. I'll do Predaplanning. Let me, shuffle this. So for a turn 1 start, this is actually not that bad, considering I didn't have, like, the best start. But, I can set this. What does this thing do again? Oh yeah, target a monster that the opponent controls. Okay, well, now what I can do here is use Chlamydosundew's effect and just straight up get a fusion summon. So that's 3 dark monsters. And I can just get Tryphyoverutum and then pass the turn over to the player. Activate Predaplanning, where I send a card to the graveyard. I'll send Byblisp here. Since it goes to the graveyard, I can add a Predaplant monster from my deck to the hand. And what do I want to add? I could add Bufolicula to set up for my next turn. And from there, because I activated Predaplanning, if the opponent summoned the monster, let's assume that they did on their turn. I mean, those monsters have a predator counter. Tryphyoverutum's effect, it gains that attack equal to the original attack of monsters with predator counters. So there's that. It can also negate a special summon from the extra deck. And then I have an infinite impermanence to negate a monster's effect. So it's a decent start for a turn 1 hand. I feel like there could have been better options, but I also have these in my hand for next turn just in case. So yeah. And then assuming this thing lasts until my next turn, I can just get rid of an opponent's monster with a predator counter. So a decent start, I guess. What'd be the next card I draw? Lair of Darkness. Okay. But now let's just shuffle these back in, and let's try a test hand, assuming I go second and am able to pull some things off. So some more shuffling. Gosh, my back is probably going to be feeling this, because I am like hunched over. I don't even know how the audio is going to sound, but yeah. Let's see. Storming Mirror Force, Spinodionaea, that, and that. Okay then, so draw, because I'm going second. Okay then. First off, let's reveal Predaplast. Reveal these 3, and there's 3. Again, let's assume I'm able to pull this stuff off, and But like, I put 3 predator counters on the opponent's side now, so that's a nice start right there. And let's see from there. Let's see. Let's play Predapractice. So I special summon Spinodionaea. So to get special summon, I can target another monster that the opponent controls, and it gets a predator counter. So that's 4 potential predator counters on the field. And then I'm not going to be battling with this, but next up, Polymerization. So those 2 go away. Byblisp goes to the graveyard, so I can activate that effect, but I'm going to be summoning that Byblisp effect, so because it was sent to the graveyard. Ooh, this is going to overheat. Let me just quickly refresh this clip. Sorry about that, the camera was about to overheat. But anyways, as I was saying, because with Byblisp's effect, when it's sent to the graveyard, I can add a Predaplant monster from the deck to the hand, so there we go. But let's do that. What do I want to add? No, not that. What's my hand right now again? Storming Air Force, so that wouldn't really help. That wouldn't work either. You know what? Let's add. No, that won't work, because what I want to do. This is actually tough. Let's see. I guess I can just add in. Maybe can't be Byblisp. Because the idea was to use Ambulomelidice's effect to use Predapractice, but then I wouldn't have anything to discard with Ophrys Scorpio. So let's actually go for Chlamydosundew, because I can actually use that for. Ow! Gosh, again, I'm in really uncomfortable positions here. My legs are gonna be feeling this. So then, I don't know why I was shuffling, but Ambulomelidice's effect, so I'm going to actually get Predapractice. Now I can shuffle. Although I really didn't need to, because I'm going to be using this, but Predapractice to special summon this. And then I can add a Predap card. So now, let's get myself... Not Predaplanning, because they already have their counters. Let's see, it's any Predap card, so it's Banksiogre. Why not? Why not? But so the opponent has, again, 4 predator counters, and with Chlamydosundew, I can actually use those monsters. So I will use 3 of them, and they are treated as dark. So there we go. Actually, do I want that? Or I could bring out Tryphyoverutum again.
You know what? Yeah, let's just do Tryphyoverutum because that's just there. Use this thing's effect to get... Actually, or I can special summon this. Yeah, sure, why not? Let's special summon this by attributing that 4th Predator counter monster that the opponent has. Again, assuming we can do these plays. Because you never know what the opponent has in store for them, or if you'll be able to pull them off. But, there we go. And that's another decent board, I guess. But that's, again, assuming we can pull that off. But, yeah. Now, sometimes I'm able, like with some test draws, I'm able to get out like some of the other bigger stuff. But Tryphyoverutum, just by itself, is just a really, really good card. So sometimes this is all I really need. But yeah, that's really it for the deck profile video. So I'm currently tracking the card. Sorry, I'm getting distracted, but yeah, that's it for the deck profile video. If there's any ways I could improve on this deck for a more, like, I guess, casual playstyle, because it's really what I do, feel free to let me know. But yeah, and at some point in the future, there's going to be at least 2 more deck profile videos coming out soon-ish. But that's going to be it for this one. Thank you all so much for watching, and see you all next time for another vlog. Later!